This is the Hoops for Hope project presentation by Anthony Dumas, Isaac Groenhuis, Tim Moddert, and Eric Settler. Part 1 will include the introduction and an overview of the roles and responsibilities. This project is for planning, conducting, and completing an amateur 3-on-3 basketball tournament to raise funds for, as well as raise awareness of, a local charity organization. The is the Down Syndrome Association of West Michigan. The sponsor, project manager, and team members will all play key roles in managing the scope of this project. As such, the project sponsor, manager, and team members must be aware of their responsibilities in order to ensure that work performed on the project is within the established scope throughout the entire duration of the project. The project sponsor will approve or deny scope change requests as appropriate, evaluate need for scope change requests, and accept project deliverables. The project manager will measure and verify project scope, facilitate scope change requests, facilitate impact assessments of scope change requests, organize and facilitate scheduled change control meetings, communicate outcomes of scope change requests to the team, and update project documents upon approval of all scope changes. The team members will validate scope change requests, participate in impact assessments of scope change requests, participate in defining change resolutions, and evaluate.
My name is Eric Sattler, and I will be covering part 2 of our presentation. In this section, I want to discuss the process of defining the scope of the project and crafting the scope statement. As we learned in our textbook, defining the project scope sets the stage for developing a project plan. We also learned that it should describe the end result of the project, whether that is a product, a service, or, in the case of our class project, an event. In addition, the scope definition should be clear and detailed. It should include things like timing, which would include the start date, end date, other time constraints, milestones, schedules, and deadlines, finances, which would include cost constraints, budgets, and possibly revenue projections, what's included, or the deliverables, both during and at the end of the project, and importantly, what's excluded. These are the specific aspects or items that will not be delivered as part of the project. For this project, much of the scope was determined by parameters prescribed in the case exercise in Chapter 2 of our textbook. Our group was given the task of project selection, and we evaluated a number of options for a fundraising event, settling on the Hoops for Hope basketball tournament as the project most likely to maximize the charitable contribution. Some objectives and requirements were given, but many decisions were still left to our group to figure out. Our group considered this event from many angles and debated these considerations that would impact the initial scope description as recorded in the project charter. These included which charity organization we would partner with, what restrictions, if any, we would put on registrations, determining a location for the event, deciding whether we wanted to add the complexity of offering food and drink concessions, and determining if this was going to be an annual or a one-time event. As I mentioned, the scope description was included in our project charter. The project charter is the first official statement of our proposed project. The scope description, as we learned on page 68 of the PMBOK, is an essential part of the project statement of work, which itself is one of the inputs to the project charter. The scope description works with other parts of the project charter to provide an overview of the project, provide a preliminary schedule with significant dates, list things like goals, constraints, assumptions, risks, and dependencies, and once it is signed by the sponsor, the project charter ultimately authorizes the project manager to use resources for the project. Our group's fully developed scope statement was included in the scope management plan. The scope statement documents the entire scope of the project and is more detailed than the scope description in the project charter. It describes in detail the project's deliverables and the work required to create those deliverables. It also will specify all exclusions in order to set realistic expectations among the stakeholders. The scope statement helps guide the planning and execution phases of the project. And finally, it provides a reference for evaluating change requests to determine whether they fall inside or outside of scope. Our final scope statement included all of the must objectives and all of the want objectives set forth in the case exercise, such as raising a minimum of $500 for the charity, completion within 9 weeks, increasing public awareness of the charity, and being featured on local TV news. It also documented other decisions we made, that we would partner with the Down Syndrome Association of West Michigan, we would limit the number of teams to a total of 36, and we would not accept special teams such as a wheelchair division. We also specified Cornerstone University as the location of the event, indicated that we would invite the university to provide food and drink concessions at the event, and we stipulated that this is only intended to be a one-time event. The scope statement also set a limit on spending in order to maximize the money we would be able to contribute to our charity partner, and it listed potential constraints such as weather and availability of volunteers, as well as including assumptions about revenues based on certain participation levels. As far as self-application, over the years I've worked on a number of projects in both my personal and in my professional life. Sometimes I managed projects, and at times they managed me. I've never had formal training in managing projects, but I have relied on common sense, practicality, and good organizational skills, as those have served me well. I realize that we have just scratched the surface with this Fundamentals of Project Management class, but I'm glad for this opportunity to increase my knowledge and improve my skills in this area. I'm beginning to pick up on the language of project management, and I'm able to apply concepts that I'm learning to past experiences, seeing where I could have done things well, if only by chance, and more importantly, where these concepts could have saved me time and frustration. I look forward to continuing the journey in future classes here at Cornerstone University.
Part 3, Hoops for Hope Work Breakdown Structure, Scope Verification, Scope Control by Tim Moddert. The Hoops for Hope work project is broken down into 5 phases. 1. Facilities request. 2. Sponsor recruitment. 3. Publicity campaign. 4. Participation registration. And 5. Volunteer recruitment. There are a total of 24 elements under all the phases. 4 under Phase 1, 5 under Phase 2, 4 under Phase 3, 5 under Phase 4, and 6 under Phase 5. The WBS dictionary includes an entry for each WBS element with a work package detailing the description of work. Deliverables, budget, and resources needed are also identified. The WBS dictionary is used as a statement of work for each WBS element. Our WBS dictionary is in the appendix. As the Hoops for Hope project progresses, the project manager will verify interim project deliverables with the responsible team members against the original scope as defined in the project scope statement, WBS, and WBS dictionary. Once the project manager verifies that the scope meets the requirements defined in the project plan, the project manager and sponsor will meet. During this meeting, the project manager will present the deliverables to the project sponsor for formal acceptance. The project sponsor will accept the deliverables by signing a project deliverables acceptance document. This will ensure that project work remains within the scope of the project on a consistent basis throughout its life. The project manager and the Hoops for Hope project team will work together to control the scope of the project. The project team will leverage the WBS dictionary by using it as a statement of work for each WBS element. The project team will ensure that they perform only the work described in the WBS dictionary and generate the defined deliverables for each WBS element. The project manager oversees the project team and the progression of the project to ensure that the scope control process is followed. If a change to the Hoops for Hope project scope is needed, the process for recommending the change must be carried out. Any project team member or sponsor can request a change to the project scope. All change requests must be submitted to the project manager in the form of a project change request document. The project manager will then review the suggested change to the scope of the project. The project manager will then either deny the change request if it does not comply with the intent of the project, or convene a change control meeting with the project team and sponsor to review it more thoroughly and perform an impact assessment. If the change request receives approval by the sponsor and the project manager, the sponsor will formally accept the change by signing the project change control document. The project manager will update all project documents and communicate the scope change to all project team members and stakeholders. Self-application for Tim Motter. In my job, I have a long history of being a team member working on many project teams. This experience has only applied to new product development and launches under our ITM, or Idea to Market program. I can recall when we had no project management department, as this was a secondary function handled by our marketers. This class has reminded me of the importance and benefits of project management, its processes, and has helped me increase my appreciation of the many project managers I work with. It has also reminded me of the importance of being a supportive project team member. I also plan to apply the same principles and practices of project management to departmental projects and global strategic sourcing team projects that I lead. Thank you very much for the class.
My name is Isaac Grotenhuis, and I will be delivering Part 4 of the Hoops for Hope presentation. In Part 4, I will cover the project plan, conflict management, and the conclusion. The project plan is a culmination of the work that has been done over the entire project. The project plan uses deliverables and breaks them down by project phases, similar to that which was done in the work breakdown structure. The project phases we used were initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Each phase includes deliverables and tasks which they are defined by duration, start date, finish date, predecessors, and resources named. The dependencies help to determine the sequence of events in the project. Each work package and subsequent tasks are assigned predecessors to determine when each task will be done in relation to the rest of the project. These are shown in the following timeline. In order to organize our project phases, deliverables, and dependencies, we used Microsoft Project. This project management software allows us to connect the deliverables and tasks by time and duration, and gives us a visual overview of the project plan. The predecessors line also allows us to connect dependencies or tasks in chronological order. For instance, the deliverables in the execution phase are facilities request, sponsor recruitment, publicity campaign, participation registration, volunteer recruitment, and the running of the event. These tasks cannot be accomplished until certain tasks in the planning process are already done. This information can also be used to produce a Gantt chart for further visual aid. The Gantt chart takes the information in the project timeline and organizes it in an easy-to-understand chart. The chart is time-scaled on the horizon to show dates and the duration of each of the tasks. The visuals given in the Gantt chart also show the duration of tasks and if they are connected to other tasks. Tasks that are dependent on each other cannot be directly above each other to show that one must be completed before the other may start. This overview of events and activities can be useful for helping the project team understand the series of events that make up the project. Overall, our group worked well together throughout the 6 weeks of this class. We made decisions well together, everybody in the group contributed equally to discussions, and we also shared the workload of each weekly task. The most significant conflict among the active participants was finding times that worked to meet with everybody's busy schedules. Another challenge was that one group member originally assigned to the project was unable to participate in most of the project. However, just like we would in real life, the group forged ahead. In conclusion, we started this project with the event selection process. We determined our scope management. We put together the scope, broke the work into our work breakdown structure, and ended by assigning hard dates with deliverables and dependencies in the project plan. We believe that with this process, our group has been able to successfully plan this fundraising event with detail and efficiency. We also believe that our fundraiser would be an absolute success.